Hey guys, Jobin here. So a friend of mine has a large knife collection and he's offered to let me borrow some stuff so I can check it out and make videos of it. So the first knife from that I'm going to show off is this one here. And this is an old Benchmade. It is a Benchmade AFCK. Is that supposed to be pronounceable? AFCK? Let's go with AFCK. This is a discontinued knife. And in fact, this one is sort of doubly discontinued, in that if you go on the Benchmade website right now and look up AFCK, you'll probably see the axis lock version. This one predated that. It is the liner lock version. And by the way, I think the liners are titanium, which may help account for the fact that despite having 4 inches of blade, this knife only weighs about 4 ounces. Immediately, when I first opened it up, I was reminded of a few different knives from my collection, or that I've seen. Mostly the Spyderco military. I don't actually have a military, I have a paramilitary, but I think you can see what I'm saying here. You've got a generous handle, largely straight with some little curves in it, and a long pointy blade. Actually, if you look at them like this, you can see that they both get very pointy. They have some distal taper. They get thinner towards the end. The other thing it sort of reminded me of, I like doing comparisons in my knife videos. The other thing it sort of reminded me of is a cold steel knife. A particular one I had, but also sort of the general style. I feel about this thing, it's sort of like if Spyderco and Cold Steel had a baby. So here's my Rajat 3. And again, you see a sort of general similarity in the handle, sort of long, generously sized, relatively straight, a little bit of curve, retention bits, but overall straight-ish. And particularly on the Cold Steel, what I'm thinking of is this area in here, where a bolster would be on a knife with bolsters. And you see in the grip like this, there's this sort of flat area. I guess the design consideration being, let's keep the user's finger a good 3/4 inch from the cutting edge. See some similarity in that. Of course, a lot of Spydercos are like that too, but they tend to be formed into more of a deliberate choil that you can put a finger in. It's very concave, so you can do grips like this. This one is actually a little bit concave, I guess. So you can do this grip. It's not great, but it works. You do have a lot of handle room here. The standard grip like this, you've got room for another finger, at least. It's quite comfortable and it feels very secure. The curve goes back into the palm of your hand. Very locked in here. It's not too narrow either, so you get a very good grip on it. And the jimping up here is very nice. It's raised a little bit. Let me zoom in. It's raised a little bit from the frame of the knife. This is something I feel like you don't see too often these days, although just recently I have seen it on a few knives. I feel like more people put the spine of the blade, back here, flush with the handle. But in this one, it's a little bit raised, a little bit proud. Wouldn't that be the machining term? The pocket clip is one side, or one position only, tip down, right side, which is a bit of a bummer. As you might be able to see here now, the level of fit and finish does seem to be a bit lower than you'd expect on a Benchmade these days. There's just some machining marks and stuff that haven't really been sanded off on the liners, stuff like that. You know, if you want to be picky, maybe they could fit with the backspacer a little better, be a little more parallel. But it's by no means horrible. The blade is 154 cm, and as I said, it's about 4 inches of cutting edge. Opening the knife is very easy. It has an opening hole. It's slightly oval, which I find annoying. I very much prefer the round, large Spyderco ones, but it works fine. It's extremely nice with the middle finger flick, and it's okay pushing it open with your thumb too. This knife does not have very much detent, and there's something else that's very noteworthy about it that I probably should have led with because I think it's such a big deal. This knife is ridiculously smooth. One of the smoothest knives I have ever handled. That includes a big variety of stuff, at least a big variety in price range, but there isn't much detent that stops the blade from moving. You know, there is physically a detent there, but there just isn't much force holding it in. And then it just slides so smoothly. Most liner locks, if you hold them like this and do this, you can feel the detent ball scraping on the steel. This, it's basically just dead. It feels like the blade's sliding through water. I don't know what to make of that. I don't know if they were all like this, or if it's just the fact that this is a very well broken in knife. I don't even really know what the washers it's riding on are. I've been forbidden to take this apart to find out. And from what I can see, they look kind of black or gray. I don't really know what the story is there. But whatever the case, this knife is ridiculously smooth and easy to open. In fact, maybe a little too easy. If you hold it like this, not touching the blade or anything, just sort of shake your hand the right way and it pops open all the way. Although that's not necessarily something we aren't used to seeing in modern Benchmades, like this Adamas here. Yeah. Closing the knife is interesting, and it's something which I can't decide if it's a problem or not. It's a liner lock, of course, and there is some jimping on the liner, but there is no additional relief on the non-lock side like we're used to seeing. Like, here's another example on this Ontario Rat 1. You can see that it's cut out a little further here, so you have very easy access to the liner. So you basically just push a finger down there, and you can push it out of the way very, very easily. This, it's just completely flush. So what I found I end up doing is basically using a fingernail in some capacity to kind of get in there and get the necessary leverage. It's not really hard, but it takes a little bit getting used to. A little bit of yeah, I think I said that right. Good enough. It takes a little getting used to. And one thing I thought of checking on is, yeah, this knife is kind of hard to use with gloves on, largely because of that. You can open it okay, but it's hard to get the dexterity to close it if you're wearing winter gloves. Overall, I think this is a pretty cool knife. I'm not necessarily hugely broken up that it's out of production, because if you want to buy a knife of roughly this general concept, you could just go buy a Spyderco Military. So in a way, we aren't missing a ton of stuff. You know, there are other long, pointy folders out there with generous handle space in about this price range. But I am happy that I got the chance to check it out. It is a nice blade. Oh, something I didn't show you guys before. It is off-center. I don't think that's... Some people like to make that out as a good indicator of knife quality. But, you know, here's the thing, guys. I've seen $5 knives perfectly centered. I've seen $5 knives imperfectly centered. I've seen $100+ knives off center. It's just a thing. Most of the time it's not a big deal. Although aesthetically it is kind of nice if you can see, you know, everything perfectly lined up in there. But anyway, before I got sidetracked on that centering thing, I think I was basically wrapping up. I was saying this is a nice knife. I don't know if I'd suggest going out of my way to find one. I don't think it's that good when there are easier to get alternatives that are similar overall. But if you see one for a good price, you could do a lot worse. It's pretty good. Alright guys, so this is Jobin, finishing up a little overview of the Benchmade AFCK. You guys take it easy, and remember where your knife is.